Interests include snowboarding, social media influencing, and drinking. Classic Evan. Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 3, 403 Forbidden. Very good. That was a good robot, sir.
I guess so.
Hold on.
You didn't. Thank you for not forbidding me doing the robot.
I did not. You were not forbidden from doing the robot. I am, but so obviously this idea that each of these episodes is named for an error code.
Sure.
Which also corresponds to Season 4, Episode blah. I went ahead and looked up what's an error code for 413, which would be the last episode.
Yeah.
The error code 413 is request entity too large.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of it actually is a little interesting, like the Dark Army being this giant entity. Maybe it's too large to take down. Anyway, there you go.
Or whatever she's attempting to do is too large. White Rose.
Yep.
Maybe that's too large.
Yep. Anyway, so there you go. That's
cast is too large, so they got to kill more people off.
Right.
You know?
So, this episode has kind of three major plot chunks, and then there's some little subplots in between. But the three major chunks are: first, we see the backstory to White Rose. Then we see Mr. Robot and Elliot attempting to get the secret access to Cypress National Bank from this Olivia person. And then we see, after successfully seducing her, there is a very frank and open personal discussion about suicide between Elliot and Olivia. And those are kind of your main three chunks. I'd say the little in-between chunks.
Well, you could kind of see that part as the same chunk, but
true. I just thought that was a different.
The different part though is him just sort of putting Darlene off and not having her be involved in it. So that's what I would say is the other chunk, which Darlene wanting to be involved in this process and Elliot being firm that she would not, to the point where Darlene feels as if he's and really Mr. Robot, is also kind of saying that he's far gone now.
Which I understand. Mr. Robot definitely has a kinder, gentler feel this season, I think, than in seasons past.
Yes.
He seems to be kind of the rational voice a lot of times.
Yeah.
But in this situation, he's saying, when you shut everybody out, there's a cost, and that cost is this kind of a emotional attachment that leads to problems.
So here's something that you should probably cut out is perhaps the Joker on the talk show was his Mr. Robot.
All right. Yep. See, there you go. Perfect. You laugh, but that's actually a pretty astute observation, sir. If not Gollum, he's Mr. Robot. But in that situation where Elliot is saying to Darlene, no.
Yes.
I feel like he's doing it for her safety, right? I mean, he's saying,
if
you come along and I get shot, I don't want you to be shot, so you stay here where it's safe, but still do work. But you're going to be the person in the chair.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see it from her perspective in a way that, like you're such a jerk and that you don't want me to risk my life.
Right.
It's like,
no, you're related to me. I care about your well-being, so you stay here. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm shutting you out as much as it's like I can't take it if I result in your death.
Right. Yeah, from her perspective though, it might be that him freezing her out.
Right. You don't trust me.
Well, no, like you're trying to do this alone because you're just alone and we're together and
you're not a team player.
Well, it's like you're my brother, this is our fight, but the thing that's really chilling is at the end it was like I never should have when you came back I never should have got in touch with or established reconnection.
Oh, when he's kind of making that declaration.
Yeah.
This was a mistake. And you're right, that plays into Mr. Robot's fears for sure.
Yeah.
Of the idea that, it would just been better off not to have any emotional contact than to have one and now worry about you. I don't want to worry about you, so I'd rather not have it in the first place.
Right? Because, I mean, it doesn't see... Because what we saw about that first part, what began it was her being over there, and that was when he decided to do it.
Do what? To
do this whole plan.
I got you.
Because she'd come in from out of town or whatever. She was hanging out with him, and then they were looking at that old video that they like to watch or whatever. And then he's kind of had a, Mr. Robot moment where he's like, I should do this thing. Which, if he's suggesting perhaps that might not even, then he may not even have the plan if she didn't come, I'm wondering. Mm-hmm. Or if he just thought, I would have had this anyway, but at least she wouldn't have been involved. Because, from what they showed us again, they remind us again at that moment when she's where the audience found out what Elliot already knew was that Darlene was his sister and not just some girl that would barge into his place without asking.
Right. All right, I got you. Mean when they were showing the scenes from the previous week or previous episodes.
Yeah.
That also plays into this idea of not trusting people or letting people in. Is kind of one of the main themes of this particular episode. You see an exchange that he has on the street with his former therapist.
Yes.
And so she, it's obvious she's scared of him because Mr. Robot threatened her.
It's only now that I remember that other plot.
Right.
So which specifically means
one of those
actually
subplots.
The other, the drug dealer.
Yeah, but this plays into Elliot. That's why I'm bringing it up. But you're right. It is kind of like you're spinning your wheels on a subplot here, but so be it. So he meets the therapist on the street. He's like, "No, don't worry. I'm not trying to do therapy with you again." But she's like, I feel threatened. Go away." He is being tailed by Vera, the drug dealer, or one of his minions. Takes a picture. Now we know Vera knows that this person, whoever she is important to Elliot. So unfortunately,
yes,
her fears of being connected to Elliot are well justified.
Yes.
She's about to have a bad existence in the episodes to come.
Yes,
so I assume hostage is coming there for her. Yeah. Unfortunately. But it just kind of brings up the fact, he doesn't have a therapist at this moment.
Sure.
And so then at the end, when he's being so open with Olivia, it's almost like, he is finally this is like a cathartic moment for him, able to discuss his feelings with someone, sure, which perhaps he hasn't been able to do in a while.
Right.
And yeah, they both talk about they've thought about suicide. And there's even a little message at the end of the episode, like, if you were having suicidal thoughts, please, seek
out. But they both have a parent who died that they were close to, and sort of not a good relationship with the parent that survived.
Right. In her case, her mom was murdered.
Yes.
That's what she says.
Yeah.
I wonder if we know about that mom or not. I don't mean, it seems like, she's in the organization, she's connected to Deus somehow, and maybe it's like, by the way, I changed my name, but my real name was, and like, oh God, it was you. But any case, right, they had this connection.
And what use of drugs, and
which is a really odd connection. I'll say that. It is a fun scene. They go to meet her at this bar. She's supposed to meet up with this guy, Evan.
Yes.
I'd actually like that scene where Mr. Robot's looking up Evan, and he's like, interests include snowboarding, social media influencing, and drinking. Classic Evan.
For me, what was interesting was the desperation that Elliot was feeling about the whole thing, and Mr. Robot knew that he could, talk to the woman and perhaps social engineer the moment. When Elliot did not have confidence in that at all.
Elliot's basically just going to go with we're going to blackmail her like we do everyone else.
Yep.
She has OxyContin. She's obviously addicted to it, and she's getting a custody battle with someone for a kid. So I'm just going to go, hey, You want to keep your kid?
Yeah.
Give me the fob, the key fob with the pet. And so Mr. Robot, he's about to do it. I mean, he's you might want to sit down for this. And then it's Mr. Robot comes in and charms her, basically.
Right.
But the conversation they have is, it sounds like some of the worst pickup lines. I was addicted to morphine. Not anymore. Oh, I did heroin 2 days ago. Was I strapped down and forced to do it? Yes. Anyway, my mom died. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Why? Oh, no, I'm not really that close. I'm like, what? And then she's like, you're great.
Yeah.
Like,
whoa. Yeah. You know?
It's like what do you not want to say?
Yeah.
In your first date, he says it.
You certainly could assume that some of that stuff they grokked from being in her apartment.
Right.
You know, so the drugs certainly she had whatever understanding of, and they didn't know, perhaps they didn't know it, or maybe they, looking through her stuff, they could see that perhaps she didn't have a good relationship with her dad. And so what I found was interesting once the guy finally arrived, because initially it looked like he wasn't going to show up, so he does, and then she's like, no, go away, I don't want you.
And he's like, isn't this you? She's like, nope. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
it makes me wonder if, how much her heart was in the first place.
Heart was in what?
In the meeting.
Oh yeah, I think it was just an online date.
Right, I know, but I mean, how enthusiastic about that? I mean, I would expect her to have similar opinions of this guy, even though she's willing to meet him.
Yeah, and it's Christmas Eve too.
Right, which is part of the reason why she decides why not.
Yeah, sure, I'll stay. But whatever, buy me a drink.
But I think they really were establishing, though, kind of like she's kind of going through the motions. You know, she's probably living because she wants to be with her daughter, and
with this idea, she's got this razor blade in the bottle of OxyContin, so she's like, if I ever make that destructive choice again, it's a reminder to say I might as well kill myself, which is just so dark.
Yeah.
But it's also this idea that given what we now know about her, or what we learn about her like a few hours after this bar meeting, he could have pushed her over the edge to have her kill herself. Like if he'd have been like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna blackmail you until you give me the information on this. I mean, probably, and which is what Mr. Robot's worried about, right? Mr. Robot's like, these people aren't disposable. We need to, there's human beings in here. So go get him, Mr. Robot. I didn't always say that on the other seasons, but he seems to be like, look, I'm wise. Like, where did that come? Okay, anyway. So that's basically the Elliot saga. Oh, it ends, we might as well finish this off. So at the very end, Elliot goes home. He realizes he's being tailed by a van. He and Mr. Robot assume it's the Dark Army, but we don't know for a fact that it is. That's a good assumption.
Yes.
And then somebody's broken into his apartment. He's like, uh-oh. And Mr. Robot's like, one of the themes of the episode is Russian roulette. It's like, when does all these dangerous things, when will the bullet actually be in the chamber? So Mr. Robot's like, maybe we should just run away. Yeah. And Elliot's like, where to? We got people outside, hell with it.
Yeah.
We're just going to walk in. So they spin the chamber again, basically, and walk in, and it's Wellick. And Wellick's really excited because, as we'll talk about here in a second, White Rose has decided to name Wellick as the new CEO since Price is resigning. And in his excitement, he blurts out, like, now we can get back at him like we always wanted. And Elliot's trying to write down, they're listening. And that's how it ends, with showing the van, like, oh, see, they probably were listening. Now they know that Wellick wants to do the company harm.
Maybe.
So what do you make of that scene? I mean, in terms of, it is weird, like, I'm imagining what happened, let's say, 30 minutes before Elliot got home. Wellick shows up. Knock, knock, knock. Like, he just breaks open the door and goes and sits down, and he's, like, hanging out in there on his computer. Like, I don't know. That seems a little weird if you're a guest.
Sure.
Just to, like, he's almost too suspicious in doing that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he is, but Is there some weirder part to the thing? Was he there for a different reason? I mean, we know that Wellick is up for the CEO job, so what he's saying is true. It was just weird that he broke in,
right,
and then is sitting at his computer station. Like, wait, what are you doing? Like, when you wait in the hall, or I don't know, text or something. I don't know. It was just weird how that was his way of waiting.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, they're just establishing that he's desperate and willing to do or he really is excited about what's going on, that he wants to, share it with Elliot. Elliot certainly is a person who, seems to be hot and cold when people are trying to contact him and not. So maybe he thought, he's not, just because he's just not answering or whatever, I'll break in. And then I'll stay here until he comes back. Now, the other possibility is something I mentioned last week. We might as well bring this topic up because this is something we're thinking about, the show is addressing, which is this third personality. Right.
Didn't come up this episode.
No.
They dropped it episode 2. Episode 3, they're like, we got time. So we're not going to talk about it right now. But if you were of such a mind to say that perhaps Wellick or some version of Wellick is the third personality, maybe that explains the fact that he's there.
Maybe.
He's hanging out in the place.
Maybe.
So it's a little odd that, as we see earlier when White Rose makes the declaration, let's make Wellick the CEO. He doesn't say, let's make Elliot the CEO.
Right.
Although I will say that the look on his second's face is weird in that moment, which he's like you could interpret it if you were so inclined to say the look on her face is like, you mean Elliot? But she just kind of doesn't say anything. It's like, no. And then walks off. Now, I don't know. But anyway, I think there's a slight chance perhaps. I don't think it's a over 50% chance, but I think there's a possibility that Wellick is the third personality. You had heard another theory, which I thought was a good one.
Yeah, that Angela might be the person, and certainly, I didn't even consider that until I read that, but I think it would be a good person to use in that capacity.
She was there from the beginning,
right?
When the whole F Society thing was starting,
and clearly it meant something to him. Their relationship all along. The first episode, he was supposed to go to a party with her. Well, that her and her boyfriend were going to, and so it was all an attempt to make him more to get along with her boyfriend.
So just to clarify, there is actually an Angela, and then there's also perhaps an Angela in his head. It's not like the Angela we saw the whole time is in his head.
Oh, correct? Certainly not. I mean, because
she got shot.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, just to clarify that that's what we're saying. We're not saying, oh no, the Angela you see was always
right.
in his head.
No. Yeah, right. No. But the way that his father, was alive at some point, and now he's in his head, is imagining. But that's part of his persona. I think that would be a perfully reasonable.
Plus, it gives her a way to be back in the show for season 4,
right? Yes.
As opposed to dying within 5 minutes.
Right. The only other people that I can think of, are his mother, who I don't think.
Well, we see an image of his mom when he's in his mind palace.
Right.
She says someone else is coming, so it makes it, and she says,
"Well,
just say him."
Yeah, I think we did see her when he imagined he was at home and not in prison. I guess we saw her.
Okay. But actually, as I mentioned this, I do remember that the image of the mom talking to the little kid version of him in his mind palace, did say him.
Yeah.
Did give a male persona to it.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So perhaps that cuts against the Angela.
Yeah,
idea.
perhaps it does.
Another theory I have seen online is the idea that it's the identity represented by the mask, the F Society mask, and that is somehow, kind of Elliot's darker impulses are represented in that. Yeah. There's something there. I mean, we're going to find this out sooner than later.
I hope
probably.
So,
yeah. But if you've got some other theories on who this third personality might be, we didn't see a lot this episode, as far as I know.
No.
So, maybe we wait. Maybe get a little more clues in episode 4. That's another interesting point on that is during this episode, we know that in order to do this plan, they need all the Deus folks together, and so that's when Elliot's like, "Hey, find a way, Price." And Price is like, "All right, fine, I'll resign, and they'll have to call a meeting to get my replacement, which will be Wellick." All right, well, Elliot gets the text from Price confirming
Yes.
the meeting is tomorrow, Christmas Day. There's a meeting. So we're in episode 4.
Yes.
There are 13 episodes.
Yes.
It's like they got to fill time. All right, they've got 9 hours of TV to 10 hours of TV to fill. So something's going to happen here that's not going to be right to the end.
No.
So finding out about this third personality might be one of those things.
Certainly.
So, all right, I guess we've left then the beginning for the end, which is White Rose. We start with White Rose in I think it's 82. She is in the States and she is making a contract with IBM. And she's got her interpreter, who she's also in love with.
Yes.
And they are speaking together in Chinese, basically about how they're going to screw over IBM.
Yes.
Like, if only you guys had someone who spoke the language.
She was presenting as a man.
True, but she's hiding that identity.
That's right. Yeah. So she doesn't reveal it to her partner in this effort until
later that night, maybe, or later next day, or it feels like it's the same year, certainly.
Yeah,
because it's they've got the Culture Club on TV. You see a video, which I think is actually pretty relevant.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Because if it's 1982, which I believe is when the year it's happening, they're in the States, so they've gotten permission to go stateside. Part of the reason that they enjoy being where they are is that they feel free to be themselves.
Yes.
And so she dresses up in the dress. He being her love interest. I don't know that they ever say his name, but her interpreter, doesn't reject her or anything.
No.
And they are in love.
Yes.
And the fact that while they're here in the States and they're watching TV, the Culture Club thing is playing in the background. I think the idea that in the early 80s, you've got Boy George,
David Bowie as well, and as Ziggy Stardust and things like that. So it was certainly in the air.
And the fact that the song is Time, I think, is also important.
Oh,
because time plays a big part in this White Rose angle. Eventually, when it's obvious that White Rose has chosen her career over their relationship, she's like, "Well, just give it time, be patient." Right. We see that the watch that her love interest is wearing is one that White Rose now has. And then in the present, she's also saying, "Oh, tomorrow I want this dress pressed, or I want this dress pressed for the big reveal." So it's the dress that she put on back in '82 to say, this is who I really am.
Yes.
So this obviously has a whole lot of meaning for White Rose and her story. So what we then see is her love interest is being kind of forced to get married, do the marry a woman thing by the society that they're in kind of demands it. So she goes back to the dressing room area, and they have a talk, and her love interest is really unhappy, and especially unhappy when White Rose says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I just accepted a new gig as a Chinese security minister or something like that."
Yeah.
As opposed to they had an idea that they were going to be able to move to the West so they could be free to be who they are.
Right.
And so obviously this person realizes, you okay.
Yeah.
This isn't as important to you as it is to me, or something. I don't know. Or
well, it's like she was saying, be patient for this world that they wanted to create or whatever. But he's just feeling like, I can't bear to be in this one until this new one is created.
So the love interest kills himself in front of White Rose. His blood spills on the white roses that are the centerpiece. Hence, I believe, the creation of her name. So she's got his watch. She's still got the dress. And it's remembering that moment about having patience that brings her back to the moment. Her second in command makes a reasonable argument to say, look, this is all a trap.
Yeah.
If you just do this, you're just falling right into Elliot's plans. And he's like, White Rose says, "I'm done being patient."
Right.
So no, if we're going to call their bluff, let's speed things up.
Yeah.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Right.
Because she's tired of waiting. The culmination of this plan is probably the one that she, in some ways, started back in '82.
Yeah.
Right. This is it.
Yeah.
It only took me
No.
X decades.
Right.
to get this done.
Yes.
So
it's interesting that pretty much what she was suggesting is to forestall the plan because of their odd behavior, but for her it's just like, I can't wait.
Yeah, she had reached that point that her love interest had reached back in the whenever that was, the 80s. A pretty interesting look into the psyche of White Rose.
Yes.
And how that all plays out. So those are really the points I wanted to touch on.
That's pretty much,
Okay. Very cool. We'll be back talking about episode 4 of Mr. Robot. We'll also be talking about Watchmen. So come on back for that. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.